Butter Money Cash is back. I went to a social media event yesterday. I worked all the way through, but the main things, I was just having a headphone. I was editing videos. Headphone, one headphone here, and the speaker was to my left. So I was very close to the speaker, both the human and the speaker, the audio speaker. So they were speaking about the fact that there are no recipes for success. And I was like, what? What? No recipes for success? What do you mean? And they later explained the fact that it's basically because you cannot replicate certain things. Even if you are doing the same thing, you will not get the same results. And I'm like, that depends. What do you measure your results on? Because if you measure your results on outside, because they were all measuring the results on the outside, you cannot replicate something. The result you cannot replicate, but the thing itself you can replicate definitely. And if you replicate it enough to be able to really understand it and make it better, you might get better results. They were like so much against success recipes, and I'm like, it's the fastest way to just get ahead, understanding what other people do and not reinventing the wheel. But people who are successful tend to, I've been successful, so I've done this mistake. They tend to say that their success is because they did something differently. But it depends with which people are you comparing them to. And it doesn't really matter what you did differently. It matters what can other people replicate. If someone else can replicate some things, then it's, but we tend to, the more successful we are, the more special we tend to think that we are. And I remember when I first sold a lot of paintings in 1 month, I was like feeling on top of the world. And it felt like I understood something so crucial. And then it was just luck. And the next month, I didn't sell any paintings. So you tend to understand when it's luck and when it's not. And people really don't understand anything. So they don't really understand their own success as well. And sometimes they are right. Most of the successes are just once in a lifetime opportunity, just being the right person at the right spot. But they were saying something else, which is a lot of hard work, which I am totally against, because you are robbing yourself of easy solutions. Whenever you think you need to work hard, that's exactly what you're going to do. And you cannot, you are robbing yourself from working as little as possible and making it be successful with less. If you think that you need a better camera, if you think that you need a better microphone, if you think that you need a better studio, if you think you need better content, whenever you wait and you do those things immediately after you have them, you just robbed yourself from having a shitty camera and making it, having a shitty microphone and making it, having a shitty Do not assume that anything is as you think. You have to test everything. Test it out and see if people or if your success works with you. You might never know that your camera is good enough already, your phone is good enough already, your microphone is good enough already. So you have to test it out. Even though you have misconceptions about what it takes, just don't follow those misconceptions and try to do the minimum effort first with what you have, because you might never know what really works. Maybe you discover that having a shitty camera and a shitty microphone actually makes you more successful. But you can never know that if you start with the good camera. And you rob yourself from so many lessons. Making it with less than you need for success teaches you so many valuable lessons. You learn how to build this Frankenstein out of things that you have around the house in order to really modge podge your way to success. It's crazy. And the more you do that, the more you understand that at any level you will ever achieve, it will be the same. It will feel the same. It will feel like you don't have that, you don't have that, you don't have that. That's just because there is another psychological trick that makes you really want to consume, to get things, to buy things, to you think that your success is behind this next purchase. And it's not true. It's you have to keep everything at the forefront of your mind. The first success you had, what it took, as in how little it took. You were able to do everything with almost nothing. And that's what made it work, not the fancy camera, not the fancy lighting, not the fancy editing. That's your standard. And I do think there are recipes for success. Everything that I've did was because I saw someone else doing it. And I said to myself, I can do that. And I was one of the stupid people who actually went home and did it. I remember when I was a teenager, I saw in high school, I saw someone pretending to be a statue and making money. And I was like, that seems like a lot of money. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And I bought some silver paint and I did it. And I made $30 an hour 16 years ago. No, 13 years ago. $30 an hour 13 years ago by just being a statue, which was crazy. I used to work just 1.5 hours because the paint would just crackle and it didn't look good. And I had money for the whole week in the in high school. So it was just 2 hours and it was crazy. So yeah, that's basically when I started. Well, I started before that when I still in high school, my entrepreneurial journey. Everybody was asking me. I had a lot of hobbies. I like to do a lot of things, especially play with toys. I had yo-yos, I had kendamas, I had a lot of things. I like to fidget. And back then, there weren't any yo-yo shops, things like that around here. So I had to basically figure out how to order from the States the yo-yos that I wanted because I really wanted something very specific. And I bought it. And then everybody started asking me, where can I find this? Where can I find this? Where can I find this? Like two people every week. So I went online. I bought from the States the almost worst yo-yo you could find, as in a professional yo-yo, not a wooden cheap thing. But it was still a professional one, but the cheapest. And I sold those for double the markup. So if it was $12 plus $3 in shipping, so $15, and I would sell it for 30. And yeah, I kind of did that with everything that I was doing outside in the world. And then I learned that you don't have to buy things, you can make them to sell them. And that's exactly what I did. And unfortunately, I grew so much in expectation and in skill that my things became too expensive to sell. And that's when you hit a roadblock because you no longer have a transactional thing where people are like, yeah, it's $30. Let's give him $30. It seems like it's worth it. It's not a big investment, whatever. But the more you go towards the $1,000 mark, people are like, what? $1,000? You're like, yeah. And they go like, no. And it's harder and harder, and the pool of people just becomes lower and lower and smaller and smaller. And your creativity doesn't have that limit. You end up being more and more creative and doing more and more stuff because you've built this proof that things that you make eventually sell. And then I hit this roadblock where I have so many paintings that I cannot. It's my worst. It made me it made me almost the most amount of money in my life before I started the online business. It made me the most amount of money in my life because I was selling very expensive paintings. But it also was the most unsuccessful business that I had because the inventory just didn't sell. And yeah. So even right now, I have about, I think, $6,000 in already made paintings. And I'm not talking about the purchase value. I'm talking in the materials value, as in the canvas, the paint, and the wood, and the frames, and the. I'm talking just materials. I'm not even talking in purchase value. No profit. Just if I just sold it all with no profit, just materials, just getting back with the money from the materials, no billable hours, no nothing, I would get $6,000. So it's quite a lot. If I sold them at purchase, I think it's four times. I usually charge about four times or more. Let's see. Four times is too cheap. So this painting behind me, the materials are 50, 30, 30, 60, 120, 250. So it's 8 times more expensive than the materials. But not all of them are this quality, so I don't put not 8 times. Let's say 6 times. 6 times the materials. That's 36,000 in already made paintings. So yeah, you could see why painting, like the skill of painting, is quite profitable because you get a 6x return on your materials, which is crazy. And it's just a thing, it's just skill. It's nothing else. It's everybody can buy a blank canvas, but nobody can sell it for 10 times the price they bought it. Look, beautiful. Beautiful painting. Beautiful small painting, unfinished. I don't know why I do small paintings. They sell better, but they're as much work as the big ones. Yeah. Because whenever you use smaller brushes, you have to be more attentive. And basically, if you use a bigger brush, then it's almost the same as using a small one because it's still a brush and you still have to do the same things. So if you just go from small to big brush, but most people paint big paintings with small brushes, and that's why it takes them so long. I want to end the day a bit quicker so that I just sit in bed and chill. And I want to talk a bit about state dependency. As in, if you are doing anything, you might feel the need to be in a certain state or to have a certain kind of motivation or to have any kind of feeling or inspiration or anything else. And the more things you put as a requirement in order to make the things that you want, the harder it is to achieve those things, to make them, to be productive. So, if you want to be always cheery and with a smile on your face and really be on, let's say, and focused and be able to express yourself in a very coherent manner, then that's going to be, let's say, 20-30% of your day if you're lucky. Some people only have 5% of their day in that state. The way I kind of cheated and worked around that is that I found holotropic meditation, and it really puts you in a state where you can be very focused, have a lot of energy, and really get over all the feelings that you have and all the anxiety and all the, like, sometimes you just don't feel like doing anything, and this just gets you and puts you in a state where you can achieve those things and really accentuate your personality much easier and exert much more energy. But I think it's wrong because I feel a lot of resistance in doing the I didn't do it this for this video, even though I should have done it. And I wanted to see if it's true that I need another state. I'm going to test. I'm going to test to see if it's needed. If I really need a certain kind of state in order to become articulate and to be able to conduct myself into a manner that is energetic and charismatic and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is just a test to see if I truly need to be in a certain state to be able to perform, because it does come back to this idea of performance, of performing, of acting, of being a certain way that you don't really feel like. and you don't identify with that person, with that way of being that much. It feels forceful. And I truly think that if I can get either, there are two ways. One way is that I get over that idea and just film whatever happens. Or the second one is I become this person who's always on. But I don't think it's good in any situation. I think you need both. You need as much as possible to be on and to be in a state where you can film videos, you can produce, you can be charismatic and be articulate. And you need a situation where you can perform when you don't feel like it, when you don't have that state, when you don't have that availability to really express yourself in a coherent manner, in a very thoughtful and creative way. I think a good strategy would just be to have some idea of what I'm going to say before I say it, so that I have something to fall on. I don't just jump with no net, with no safety, and I just jump into the video. I think it's better to, for those days like this one where I don't feel like doing much, I need some words, some ideas of what I'm going to say, and really not push myself to be in that state that I need to be in to film videos. Because I've noticed that I could be a lot more productive and film a lot more, but I am not in that state all the time. So it kind of feels bad to not be able to do as much as I want, even though I do quite a bit. And I don't know, I'm gonna try to figure out if I move everything closer to the morning or before I eat. And because it seemed to work when I was filming courses, it seemed to work because I was moving the things that were lower energy priority to the end of the day rather than at the beginning. And probably if I divide those like that, I can be more productive. My goal, which is a very crazy goal, even though it's not impossible, I want to be able to render all night, like 8 hours, 8.5 hours to just have something rendering while I sleep so that the machines work. And yeah, that's quite a bit of a goal. And I looked at the bottlenecks that I have, and the thing that jumped into my consciousness was the fact that I am state dependent. I asked myself, why don't I film more? And it's because I have to be on, to be, I have this idea that I have to be a certain way in order to film videos. And I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's really the thing that I should be focusing on. And I don't think it's required. I should test it to see if it is or not. And yeah, because there is a limit. You can output so much of yourself during a day. There is a limit, and after you cross that limit, you just don't feel like you want to express, to expand more energy. You're always fighting against your brain's need to just chill and not do anything. Your brain efficiently is very efficient and it wants to conserve energy. So now, when you start things and you get into a flow like this video, you start to really get ideas, and your brain doesn't want to change lanes and stop doing the video because now it's gotten used to speaking and being a certain way and coming up with ideas. But before you start, it's bad. So I was thinking of a way to mitigate that. And one way would be to just have a trial practice for 2 minutes. I set a timer for 2 minutes, I record, and then I press the button that deletes the video so that I get into the flow before I start the video. So it's a ritual for not 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes is too much. I think 1 minute is way better than just 2 minutes. 1 minute is enough to be able to put myself and get that benefit of just starting without any pressure to film, without any pressure to record. But if the recording goes well and the timer just goes off, I'm just going to continue to film. But I think giving myself that idea, that possibility to fail at first and get into a flow afterwards can really improve the number of videos and number of things that I'm creating every day. Okay? Today was March 13, 2024, and see you tomorrow.